Yay, okay. Can you hear me again now, guys, yeah? Awesome, okay. Yes, so I hope you enjoyed that. It's something a little bit different in terms of what you'd call like folk music, but I think it's really, really beautiful.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, so getting back to the question that Deha asked of Kyung-Sung, had time to...
It's not a easy questions to answer, but I think I thought about two reasons. First, in Korea, when we talk about the community art, I think there exists some sort of a stereotype of what community art is. It's because I think we still don't have various program or various challenges to create and do the community-based artwork, and it's more like pleasing the elder people or I don't know, maybe with some like children theaters for children like who are a little bit marginalized. So when I see some community artwork in Korea, for me it doesn't feel like a community artwork, and it just reproduces the stereotype of what we call community artwork. So that's so for me, I just prefer to introduce myself as just an artist, not a community artist. But of course, all of my work comes from my community. And second thing is, I think reflecting it related to another question that Jodi gave us. The motivation of doing creating work is, I think, for me, of course, I'm doing it for the people, but that's not the first motivations of why I'm creating work. So if I introduce myself as a community artist, somehow I feel like I'm deceiving myself. I don't know if it's correct expression. So yeah, that's why I think tends to not to introduce or identify myself as a community artist. I'm just artists who are making work for the community. I think that's how I approach to this concept, I think. Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty and you know, like just your candidness. No? Thank you, Kyung-Sung.
Ken, wonderful. Kyung-Sung, would you be able to give us a little more example of when you say you create work with community, what kind of, how do you create the work?
Okay, one of the work I would like to introduce is I've sometimes worked in a public space, and I think it's very important for people how to exist or use public space in our society. I think in many of societies, the public space looks very autonomous, but I think we are always being watched, and I think there are many invisible restrictions. So, for example, in Korea, there's a square called Gwanghwamun Square, and it's a very political, emblematic square in Korea, and lots of demonstrations. And even when our former president was impeached, the biggest demonstrations were happening in the square. But 6 years ago, there was like a very strict public law that you cannot have a protest without reporting the authority in advance. But the law was you were able to protest if you were just one person. So only the one-man protest was allowed at the time. And I really looked up the public law, and if you are 20 meters apart, you are regarded as a one person. So I kind of collected 24 citizens and who had something to say in the public spaces. And in the middle of the square, we did a rally for 1 hour each for 24 hours. And on the last hours, they were all standing apart 20 meters. And we did all demonstration together, but it was considered to be a one-man protest because we were 20 meters apart. So I just want to share little sketches of the of that.
Headphones aren't working.
Okay.
This is Pompol's very first time on Zoom, so.
Now?
There we go. Yes, we can see it.
Fantastic.
Oh, but I have to do everything. So this is just the one. I have to change the photos every time, so I will just show you the.
That's okay.
And
one-man protest.
Yeah, and it lasts for. I will just show you one more photo and then answer.
Okay.
Can you see that or no?
Not yet. You're not sharing yet.
Yeah, you have to screen share again.
Okay.
There.
So this is
Yes,
one image at the after in the night in the square, and one poet is reading out his poem to the people who are passing in the square. So we also broadcasted through YouTube, and it lasted for 25 hours. So in this way, I just try to reclaim the right of people to exist on the public square and raise up their voices in the society and to find their own language. And this is one example I would like to share as a community artwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing, especially now when so many of us are relegated to our homes, where outdoors feels almost dangerous, more dangerous than it is felt in a long time. So I think probably after, when things start to cool down a little bit more, this kind of work will be very important. I would like to ask Pompol, I would like to ask you about how people in Laos view community art. And I know your work is very strong in visual. You do a lot of contemporary work also, and how you feel that relates to the community.
Okay, the first I need to translate from the
yes, no, I
Ms. Nonglak. Yes,
no problem.
Yeah. Nonglak, you stay here. Yes. Please translate the question.
You need me to repeat Nonglak or?
Yes, Ms. Nonglak. Can you hear me?
Yes. งานของคุณบุญพลนะคะไม่ทราบว่ามันรีเลทกับทางชุมชนคอมมูนิตี้คนในประเทศลาวยังไงบ้างเนี่ยค่ะ การ
โอเค
ทำ
ครับ
งาน
ผมสามารถโช
เพ
ว์
ราะว่างานค่อนข้างจะมีเนื้อหาค่อนข้างที่จะเรียกว่าอะไรหนักหน่วงด้วยอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ
ใช่ครับใช่ครับ
ค่ะ
เพราะว่าเดี๋ยวผมจะแชร์ในสกรีนได้ไหมครับ แล้วผมจะอธิบายไปทีละขั้นครับโอเคครับเดี๋ยวผมจะแชร์สกรีนโอเคใน Google Drive โอเค โอเค
so we share his community art so he will explain
yes สำหรับงานผมนะครับเป็นส่วนมากผมจะทำงานอยู่2แบบก็คือเป็น painting แล้วก็เป็นเกี่ยวกับ conceptual art สำหรับงาน conceptual art ผมทุกชิ้นจะมีส่วนร่วมของสังคมชุมชนเพราะว่าผมต้องการเวลาผมสเก็ตงานผมต้องการจะเสนอปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นในสังคมในปัญหาต่างๆโดยใช้รูปแบบของงานศิลปะครับ
เดี๋ยวช้าๆหน่อยนะคะ
ครับครับ
Paul explained that he worked two kinds of his artwork with the community. The first one about the painting, and another one is the conceptual art. Mostly, he used the conceptual art to relate with the community because it's more explain more about the problem and the solution for the community clearly compared with the painting. ต่อได้เลยค่ะ
ครับโดยเฉพาะงานที่ส่วนมากงานผมจะเป็นเกี่ยวกับปัญหาใช่ไหมครับที่เกิดขึ้นภายในลาวหรือว่าในโลกปัจจุบันเนี่ยแล้วก็เกี่ยวกับสิ่งแวดล้อมเพราะว่าในลาวตอนนี้จะมีการตัดไม้ทำลายป่าเยอะทุกคนยังไม่เห็นความสำคัญของสิ่งแวดล้อมที่มีผลกระทบต่อตัวเองดังนั้นผมจึงทำงานในรูปแบบสิ่งแวดล้อมเพื่อนำเสนอว่าปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นเนี่ยมันไม่ใช่เกิดมาจากธรรมชาติโดยตรงแต่ว่ามนุษย์เราไปกระทำกับสิ่งแวดล้อมและให้สิ่งแวดล้อมมันมีผลกระทบที่เลวร้ายต่อมนุษย์ด้วยกันครับประมาณนั้น
ค่ะ He said the main problem and that he focused about cut the tree deforestation in Laos. That is the main problem, and he would try to communicate with the Lao people and the global about the environment problem in Laos. And now people does not realize people in Laos may be less awareness about the deforestation in Laos, and they don't think that it will be affect them in the long term. So that's why he would like to present this one about the cut the tree in the forest, for example, from his the photo that he is showing now. ต่อได้เลยค่ะ
Yes อย่างเช่นงานที่ทำเป็นก้างป่าเนี่ยครับก็เป็นงานมีส่วนร่วมของชาวบ้านที่ทั้งหมู่บ้านแล้วก็ก่อนที่ผมจะทำงานผมก็จะเป็นการจะนำเสนอปัญหาที่เกิดขึ้นครับอย่างเช่นก็อธิบาย
ก้างป่าดูค่ะ
ก่อนที่จะทำงานผมก็จะอธิบายว่าเรามาทำงานศิลปะเนี่ยเพื่ออะไรแล้วก็ถึงแสดงถึงปัญหาอะไรที่เกิดขึ้นก็คือเป็นการนำเสนอว่าทุกอย่างที่เกิดขึ้นในปัจจุบันเนี่ยมันเป็นเพราะพวกเราควรจะอนุรักษ์แล้วพวกเราควรจะดูแลสิ่งแวดล้อมโดยการเป็นการนำเสนอความคิดให้ชาวบ้านได้รับรู้แล้วก็ให้เขามีส่วนร่วมในการทำงานครับ
ก้างปลานี่หมายถึงว่าเดี๋ยวนะคะขอขยายความเรื่องก้างปลานิดนึงว่าคือก้างปลาหรือว่าความหมายในมิติของการทำงาน
ครับในมิติของการทำงานครับ
ก้างปลาใช่ไหมคะก็คือมันจะหมายถึงรูปแบบของอะไรการทำงานถูกไหมคะ
ใช่ครับไม่ก้างปลาเป็นตัวชิ้นงานครับ
เป็นก้างปลาจริงๆใช่ไหมคะ
ใช่ครับตัวนี้เป็นที่ทำเป็นแบบเป็นผลงานตัวอย่างเป็นผลงานนี้นะครับ
So this is made with sticks, is it?
Okay.
ไม่เห็นใช่ไหมครับ
Yeah, he explained. อันนี้ใช่ไหมคะโอเคเห็นแล้วค่ะ
ใช่ครับ
So เดี๋ยวwould you please keep this photo to show because I will explain from this photo. He called APA project
please.
is mean that the fish bone, that do you see the shape, the outline shape, the fish outline shape, and that like when he work with the community, he will go to educate, keep the education for the local to understand how important the environment is, and let's try to encourage them to aware and taking care of the environment. And he showed this one is his the one of his project to show that how we can help to keep and look after the environment in Laos. So the main thing is the first one that he will encourage and educate the local.
Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, this is ตัวนี้ก็เหมือนเป็นแบบหลังจากที่อธิบายให้ชาวบ้านเข้าใจงานแล้วก็เราว่าจะเอางานนี้ไปเผยแพร่ให้ชุมชนที่ใหญ่ขึ้นดังนั้นเราขอให้ชาวบ้านที่อยู่ใกล้ๆมีส่วนร่วมในการทำงานด้วยแล้วก็ทุกคนก็จะทำงานเก็บกิ่งไม้เก็บอะไรมาทำช่วยก่อนครับ
Yes, when he explained that and the local understand what he want to work with them, then they will join him like with no question, but they they feel happy to help him and understand. He start from the nearby. After that, this project will extend to another village. Yes, do you see that the shape of the fish?
Yes.
On the river bank, right? That is from the wood.
Yeah, from the wood.
Yes.
มันเป็นไม้ที่มาจากเขาถางป่าทำไร่นะครับแล้วก็เผาไร่แล้วต้นไม้ที่ตายเพราะเผาไร่
from like the tree that dead tree and deforest and the local cut them. Or it's from that the waste wood that they don't want to use, and he like apply them to mix it on the river bank. Apply to the river bank and to show, and this that the same scale. แบบนี้ก็ไปในหมู่บ้านอื่นด้วยเช่นเดียวกันใช่ไหมคะรูปแบบ
ไม่ครับตัวนี้เป็นชิ้นที่เราเป็นชิ้นแล้วจากตัวอื่นเราจะเอาเป็นโฟโต้ไปโชว์ว่าเราทำงานอย่างนี้ไปอธิบายให้เขารู้ว่าใช่ครับ
this is not I would like to say that the installation art, this one, that the conceptual art from him, that beginning in this community, in this village, but for the next village he just take the photo and go in the village to show that how he works with the community. Yes. So it's like it's not like this every village, but just in only one village.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's very impressive to see so many people coming together to create one big piece of art. I think it's something.
ไม่แน่ใจใช้เวลานานเท่าไหร่ในการที่จะให้ข้อมูลชุมชนแล้วก็ให้เขามาร่วมงานตรงนี้
ผมลงพื้นที่จากสำรวจพื้นที่แล้วก็ศึกษาผลกระทบจากหมู่บ้านนี้ประมาณเดือนหนึ่งเพื่อศึกษาข้อมูลแต่อีกประมาณครึ่งเดือนเพื่ออธิบายแนวความคิดแล้วก็ทำความเข้าใจต่อชาวบ้านก่อนที่เขาจะมาช่วยงานครับประมาณ2เดือนครับทำงานทั้งหมดประมาณ2เดือน
โอเคค่ะ I did ask him that how he worked with the community for this project, for this fish bone on the river bank. He said he spent 1 month for the research, doing the research, and half month for explain and educate the local, the villagers to understand his concept, and then let them work together with him. And after that, about half month that to show, to have the showcase on the river bank. So including 2 months for this project.
Wow, it's very beautiful.
Yeah, so that is the process, because I think that the hard process is about like how he will relate and communicate with the local to realize and awareness about what he want to communicate with them, or the concept that he want. But that concept link and let the villagers to join to share.
Yeah, very interesting.
หลังจากนั้นแล้วชาวบ้านมีความเข้าใจมากขึ้นไหมคะ
ใช่ครับเพราะว่าหมู่บ้านที่ผมไปทำงานเนี่ยผมจากการศึกษาข้อมูลเมื่อก่อนหมู่บ้านเขาจะมีความอุดมสมบูรณ์มากครับแต่ในช่วงที่ 3-4 ปีก่อนที่ผมจะไปทำงานเนี่ยเขาว่ามันมีผลกระทบจากน้ำท่วมที่ปกติปีละครั้งใช่ไหมครับแต่หลังจากที่เขาทำไร่กันเยอะและน้ำมันมาเวลาฝนตกหนักมันจะมาทุกทีแล้วก็มันจะท่วมอีกทุกทีครับประมาณปีหนึ่ง 3-4 ครั้งทำงานน้ำท่วมนะครับแล้วก็จะทำให้พืชพันธุ์ที่เขาปลูกมันเสียหายแล้วก็เวลาจะปลูกใหม่น้ำมาอีกก็ท่วมอีกตายอีกท่วมอีกตายอีกประมาณ 3-4 ครั้งเลยครับแต่ละปี
นั่นก็คือปัญหาจากการตัดไม้ทำลายป่า
ใช่ครับใช่ครับ
Okay. I asked him like how the villagers or the local understand the community understand his concept. He mentioned like earlier years that they don't have the problem of the flooding only once a year, but now it's about 3 or 4 times a year. So it affects their life. When they're planting the plantation or the rice, the paddy field, they cannot harvest. You know, when they are getting to start to planting and the flooding come again, it's because of the deforest in the community. So that's it affect them directly. So it's easy to share his concept and to ask them to help to realize, to encourage them awareness.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul. That's really like
Yes, you're welcome.
One of the words I think we used earlier was kampong, which is a Malay word for village, but it also talks about the village being a community and coming together to do things. So I think your work really makes that very visible.
Yeah. It's really concrete.
I think I mean, speaking on communities and sustainability, I think maybe Francis, could you share a little bit about the work that you're doing with the youth in your community?
ขอบคุณคุณบุญพลค่ะเดี๋ยวต่อไปที่คุณฟรานซิสค่ะ
ผมปิดยังไงครับ
จะมีอะไรไหม
How I can close
There should be
sorry
there
this
should be
the first time for me
wait.
sorry this
The
is
host
first
can
time for
also
me
stop share, but
Okay.
there.
Okay this okay
I think
There you go.
Okay.
yes.
Okay
fine.
thank you
Thank you everyone.
thank you
And
to Francis, right?
yes.
Right. Hello there.
Francis.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. What we've mostly been doing, well, we've been doing quite a lot of things. However, the primary activities that we've had is more into using the arts for community engagement. And so one of which has been, may quite share some of our activities. Is it okay?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool. So here, let me just share the screen. Do you see something there?
Yes, we do.
Note to call. So this was one of our biggest achievements, I suppose, because what we did was we were not really against coal, but then we were calling for sustainable energy sources in our city, because there was a legislation that they would like to build a coal power plant in our heritage area. And so what we did was we called our college students, and we gave them the challenge, how could they create a graphic design work that would reflect with our local dialect. And so during that time, that was around 4 years or 5 years back, it was still, hugot is a local term. It's like, it's a sentiment deep within you that you would like to let loose. And so they created this campaign about the toxicity of of coal and the toxicity of being in a relationship. So if we translate these graphic designs into the English language, these teenagers, they created these campaign posters materials into saying, if you were in a relationship, you were very toxic. So it was like an allegory or putting together coal and being in a relationship as if it's being toxic, so might as well coal off.
Right.
It became quite a huge campaign. These are just these are teenagers doing online campaign, and it was so successful that the city junked the legislation for the coal power plant. And so we were using graphic designers, college students, and teenagers. And these are one of the things that we've been doing, quite a lot of things as well. However, I'd just like to share something that we did COVID period. And we can no longer be within the community, unlike these projects that we've had. We go to middle school students and we work with them in arts and music. But because we can no longer do that, we did this masterclass, working with artists, singers, composers, to do a masterclass with young kids, do online. And it was also a benefit drive for families that were affected by COVID, who were unemployed. And so proceeds from this concert, we were able to provide hundreds of families with vegetables in an island that is quite far away from the city, that is which might not be the focus of the city government. And so because of that concert with the kids, these are our attempts to extend volunteers. And so we were still able to create that sense of community. And so, yeah, these are just different things that we do with using. One was we utilized art in order to change legislation. And the other one was we worked with artists to create a concert so that the community would be able to benefit from it. That's pretty much what we've been doing in terms of youth and sustainability.
Yeah, I think the thing that's using arts to really change legislation. I think for a lot of us who do community work, there's often a feeling of all you can do is on the community level, and that the government is too difficult to sort of talk to. But it's very interesting to hear your experience about creating very solid impact. Do you think the digital element of it kind of helped giving it that push?
I would say it is a combination. However, mostly because we work with the youth who we could say are a bit social media savvy. Well, Jess would agree that in the Philippines, social media is such a huge component in our lives. So yes, the digital component is a huge aspect in the success of our programs. This is an example I would just like to share. We talked with the local government, and we worked with architecture students as well. The problem was that in their community, it always gets flooded. And so we gave that challenge to 30 kids and the local government barangay officials. And so these kids, 30, 40 kids, they posted that was around 4 years ago. They posted in their social media, we need volunteers and whatnot and blah, 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 because they're going to create an urban park along the sidewalk so that people would not. So the reason for flooding was that people were throwing garbage into the streets. And so it gets very, Jess is agreeing because it's very common in the Philippines. So these architecture students, their solution was to create an urban park along the sidewalk so people would not feel quite easy to throw their garbage. And so it helped, hopefully it will help decrease flooding. And so because of social media, Facebook, 30 kids became 300, 400. And because it was so successful that the city government was quite inspired with the success of the project, what happened was the city government launched it to be used or to be replicated in the entire Cebu city. And then they also pushed for edible urban garden parks. So to answer your question, yes, social media is such a huge component, digital platforms. And like what you're doing, Jodi, this is already a very good platform.
It's very amazing to see the explosive effect that social media and these digital platforms can have. I think, yeah, again, as often as artists, we kind of shy away a little bit from digital technology sometimes, but when you see these youths being able to really grasp it so well and push things out, it's been really interesting. Thank you, Francis. We are like coming fairly close to 2 o'clock now, and I know a few people do have to leave, so I'll open to you guys. If there's anything else, or if there's any questions you want to ask from each other. And
I have a few photos, Jodi. I'm not sure if it's still okay.
Yes, of course, go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
also to put, sorry, just to put some more ideas in your head. I think the other thing is hopefully where some other artists who will also be joining us over the next few days will get to see this and get some ideas. So if there's any finals that you will share with them also, I'd love to hear that also. But yes, over to you, Dessa.
Can you see this? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll breeze through some because I think I did discuss some of these, but it resonates a lot with the work of Francis, and I'm still it's like I wish our borders are open so I can just hop over and meet Francis in person, but it had to be through ASEAN and through Singapore. But yeah, so our group was formed in 2005, and basically platform for young people to have a voice and to feel that they have agency over, a very complicated society, and things that go wrong around their communities and in their lives. But I just wanted to quickly share a certain framework that we use, which is the PAGASA, translated as hope. But it also stands for three. These are just three things that we always have. We ask ourselves, what is the viewpoint and conviction of what we are doing? Why are we doing it in the first place? And then the GA is about skills and action. And it's really about, how do we bring out, like the craft, the artistry, the expressions that are available and that the young people can utilize as part of as a language that they could utilize. And then the SA is the sarili and samahan, which is really, like always asking, like how does the self in relation to community, and community, how does that translate to ourselves? So that symbiosis is important. So we always, we use the PAGASA as a guiding frame for our work. So like Francis, our work is wherever there are people. So we are in parks. Upper left is a campaign on laws related to gender-based violence, on rape, trafficking, child abuse, and domestic violence. And then we had a performance by the beach, which was a campaign to reduce use of plastic, because it also like affects our coastal resources. And then we have on the lower right, Francis, is similar. No, it's about solid waste management. In fact, one popular sort of chorus which we we sang is reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, reduce, reuse, recycle, recover. So they have like a fun kind of dance of like, like recycle fashion also in it, no? And then some under the trees, as I had said. This is by the boulevard. But we also do a lot of like workshops, and the workshops are not only theater related. A lot of them are also advocacy and also life skills. We do trainings using creative methods to talk about teenage pregnancy or adolescent reproductive health. We do stuff related to tree raising rather than just tree planting and all that. And I don't know why this is moving quickly, but anyway, the impact of the pandemic, as we have pointed out, is fear and anxiety, loss of people that have been dear to us, loss of jobs, a loss of opportunities to interact and mingle. So there's isolation and helplessness. But the pandemic, I would also say, led to new possibilities and then refocusing of other skill sets. Many of our young people had gone into cooking, baking, planting, and they've also developed entrepreneurial skills. So many are into food business now. One of our members is creating yogurt, homemade yogurt from a local farm that has fresh milk, that is producing fresh milk. So we've also relied on the local resources. And then it also pushed us to strengthen and create networks for to support each other. It also provided us time to work on our backlogs, right? Things that we couldn't do before because we were just too busy. So these are just some of the things that we had done. Again, young people saying, what can we do for children? So 7 of them created on culture-based themes and also related to children's rights, traditional games, local fishes that are found in our own rivers and in our own oceans, local vegetables and fruits, and these were some of the things that that we, instead of just the typical cash assistance, these were art relief kid packages for kids. And then we use radio. So we had radio plugs now. We're doing something on positive discipline in the time of the pandemic, because as we know, like when children are stuck in the homes, some of the issues are abusive behavior towards children, especially when people are hard up. Oftentimes, the violence turns against the children. No? I know. Anyway, I'm not going. But we also have one that was supposed to be a community project in the coastal communities on sustainable fishing, and so we've translated this into some, a form of like a kind of a short video. I will show only a minute, if that's okay, just so you have an idea.
Yeah.
Usa sa akong pinakaganahan nga talan-awon, ang makita akong Lola Marina naglingkod sa baybayon. Sa matag higayon nga mosaysay si Lola kisa kastorya, paminaw na ako, mura ko og lisalong sa akong mga hunahuna. Nangandoy nga gamata.
Dala sa kusog sa sulog sa kinabuhi, napadpadang akong mga apuhan sa lapihan, diin sila nang inabuhi. Napukot sila sa gugma og tinguha, nga mupuyo og musanay, daplin sa baybayon. Ang dagat adunay kinabuhi, kini ang balik-balik nila nga gisulti. Ang dagat adunay kinabuhi, Ayaw pasagdi, ayaw pasulabi. Ang dagat naghatag kinabuhi, korales lusay kinasunis daog uban pa. Amo mahunog protektahan, alang-alang sa sunod na henerasyon. Kining tanan nilang gisilsil sa ako nga limpatakan.
So that's so that's a part of like an effort now, to reach out still to the communities, and then holding some of these webinars, focus group discussions to listen to what people, especially the arts and culture sector, how they have been impacted by the pandemic, and this is again to create some future policies and programs for the sector. So just quickly, and again, these are some of the challenges that we face, would be the fact face-to-face interactions, connections are still essential to the performing arts especially. The survival, economic, also mental, emotional, issues. Safety health protocols for live events, because many could not go into live events again because it's so expensive to comply with the requirements for safety health protocols. Equity in resources, including access to internet connections and all that. But that also, I think, like Francis, we need to really be able to translate some of this into policies that could protect and ensure the welfare of artists in the future. So yeah, so that's my presentation and sharing to the group.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to see everybody's work and hear you all talk about it and be so passionate as well. Yeah, I feel very inspired. But yeah, I'll open the floor if you guys have any, last things you kind of want to say to each other in the group.
I just have questions. Thank you for the presentation. And can you introduce us like one specific workshops? How do you do workshop when you work with the young teenagers? Can you tell me any specific programs you do? I'm curious, like as a process, how you develop.
Is that to everyone or to Francis, to Paul,
to you actually?
To me. I think the first is really, basically it's just to give them a sense of safety and to relax them, because schools are generally very regimented. It really does not promote creativity and originality and even imagination. They have fixed answers to everything, most at least, no? So the first thing we say is like, there is no wrong answer. So, and so first is like to honor their emotions, their experiences, and their stories. And then once they're able to do that, then we, again, these are through songs, through games, then we find connections with their narratives, with their stories, that they themselves sort of like induce, like when they're given, each other's stories, find 2 or 3 themes that you feel, emotionally charged to talk about. And then in the meantime, we create, other, avenues, like they could express it through posters, through wild mind writing. I think storytelling has a lot of like those wild mind writing. And then simple building blocks on theater, like, just images, like we use a lot of Augusto Boal exercises, just to create imagery and non-verbal language at times. But Filipinos love music.
Yes.
So we ultimately also ask them to create like songs that can be based on a existing song that they could then change later on. But that's an easy access without having to learn, like music theory in its formal or in its strictest sense. So those are some of the things we do.
And how long usually the process
Oh,
lasts?
we usually say ideally 3 days and whole day, like 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock with a short break. We and we food is essential, so we try to really find sponsors so that they are fed, because these are young people.
That's important.
Yeah. So at least a good lunch would be important, right, Francis? You know that.
I think this is a common factor in all Southeast Asian countries. If you don't feed your participants, they will not come. Very clear. Yeah. So, any final thoughts, Francis?
Just one last, because I know I've already spoken a lot, but I want to hear. But I think what is the importance of the ASEAN, especially for young people. I wish there are more hubs that we could create for young people to really listen to, to think about their work, to think about their artistic practice, and to be able to, in whatever way is accessible to them, they could write about it, they could perform it. But I think that the artists as thinkers, and particularly young artists as thinkers, is an important agenda that our community can have a sort of platform to assert that and to celebrate that. Thank you.
Kamini, any?
I second what you said, Dessa, and I think what's also important for established practitioners in ASEAN to do or to offer is this ability for exchange between youth. And when we can all travel again safely in the future, I think this is something that we should properly look into and provide that guidance, that networking, that place to stay, the food that you spoke about, and to learn from someone else in another country, but to know that intrinsically we're all part of Southeast Asia. And the surprising facts, right, especially in folklore, in different geographical locations, with slight adaptations based on geography, culture, and the animal, the flora and fauna that surrounds us. And this is what I think Dr. Yang said in the beginning. We're different, yet we're united. And these opportunities for exchange between youth and a mentor elsewhere, I think, is where that I would be interested in, an area that I'd like to explore further.
Francis? Any final thoughts or about ASEAN or about community art and how to,
Yeah, this is an important, we are at an important juncture wherein during the during this COVID pandemic, we get to ask whether arts or culture or art practitioners or cultural workers, are we essential workers? Are we, I mean, that's just my frame, my frame at the moment. However, do we consider ourselves necessary for our communities to survive? And so how do we navigate ourselves in order to make sure that we do not lose our identities as cultures, as individuals, as regions? And how do the ASEAN region come together, most especially that we are now looking at several layers of problems because of the pandemic? And how do artists, what are the roles of artists and creatives and on helping solve these problems as well? Or do we have any role, in fact, in solving these issues? And this is a platform where we would be able to hopefully address those. If we can't solve them, then then how could we work together? Best practices.
Thanks, Francis. Kyung-Sung? Any last thing you would like to say, or?
Yeah, I think Francis just mentioned a very essential point. And I think artist is essential, especially in this pandemic era, because I think artist always helps to find the language of our time, because we are anxious and we are worried and we don't know how it will go, but through the collaboration, through the artistic practice, I think we always try to find more complex language that reflect our situation and emotion. And even though we do not directly influence on social change or policy, I think through developing more complexity of reflecting our situation and our inner emotion now is, I think, the reason why artists exist still at this moment. And the only dilemma I have now is that because now I kind of stopped the whole rehearsal process, and I'm thinking whether I should still do the rehearsal in this situation, or whether I should stop for a moment for the safety of all participants, or whether I should accept the new conditions of this change and still has to move on. Somehow it will, I think, change our practices. So I'm still struggling in between that, whether we should just accept the new condition or whether we still resist on this new condition. I think that's quite different. I think this tension is very important. So yeah, so that's kind of my dilemma and questions I have as a practitioner at this moment. I mean, everyone does too. Yeah.
Yeah, questions are very exciting for us as artists. Yeah. And finally, I'd like to invite Pompo. Is there any last thing you would like to say for the group or for the young artist?
มีอะไรจะส่งสารถึงเกี่ยวกับเพื่อนๆที่ทำคอมมิวนิตี้อาร์ตด้วยกันหรือว่าถึงเยาวชนคนอีกรุ่นเนี่ยค่ะเกี่ยวกับเรื่องของศิลปะชุมชน
สำหรับผมเองมองว่าศิลปะเนี่ยมันน่าจะมีส่วนร่วมกับสังคมมากขึ้นเพราะว่าอย่างเช่นอยู่ในประเทศลาวเนี่ยการเป็นที่ยอมรับของสังคมยังมีน้อยเพราะว่าประชาชนส่วนใหญ่เขายังไม่มีความเข้าใจต่องานศิลปะเพราะฉะนั้นผมคิดว่าถ้าเราสามารถเอาศิลปะเข้าไปเผยแพร่ในชุมชนและให้ชุมชนมีส่วนร่วมและความเข้าใจต่อศิลปะและความเข้าใจต่อแนวความคิดของศิลปินเนี่ยมันจะมีเพิ่มมากขึ้นและจะทำให้งานวงการศิลปะอย่างเช่นอยู่ในลาวนี่มีความในการพัฒนาขึ้นได้เยอะขึ้นอีกครับประมาณนั้นเองครับ
Paul said like art should be part of the local to understand because in Laos the people realize about art quite less compared with in other countries. So he thinks that when the artists have opportunity to work with the villager or in the community, that it will be the best way to communicate the art or educate them about art or visual arts in any kind of it, so they can bridge them together between the artists work well together with the local, because it will make them understand each other and growing up together in by using the art community.
Thank you. It's really way to wrap up. Wonderful. Okay, so we've hit our time limit. So I want to get all of my team to come say hello. But yes, I just want to thank you guys all so much for joining us today, Kamini for joining us in the studio itself. You guys are all such amazing, wonderful wealths of resources.
Okay, you were there.
All such amazing, wonder, like beautiful wealths of resources, and I hope that you get to each other again. Okay, so we have our two lovely translators who are here in the building. This is it's kind of frozen. Oh wait, no, it's all right. Can you see the image? Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Okay, so we have Eden and Eunice, who are on our translation team. We have Hafiz, who is our working on our tech side. Terence, obviously, you've met before. And our big man, Hatta, who is top team of tech men. So the other thing I want to say as well is that this is given an opportunity for these are theatre technicians who are now having to learn how to do the live stream. So you have also given them an opportunity to learn something new as well, which they are very thankful for. Okay. Wonderful. And yes, I would also like to thank ASEAN Foundation and also the ASEAN-Korea Cooperation Fund for making this all possible and bringing us together. And I look forward to more conversations in the next coming days and to seeing some claps between us all. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Bye.
I can take a screenshot already.
Okay, so we're going to take a group screenshot photograph.
Oh, sorry. Just I think anyway. One last screenshot, okay, guys.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, bye.
See you again. I hope to talk to you again soon, okay?
Yes.
And stay safe in quarantine, Kyung-Sung.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you talk to more people so we get lots of good content for you.
I will join tomorrow as well to listen. Bye.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, cool. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And